All right, what's going on, folks? JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back for another video on the Conscious Approach channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for watching our videos. Last week was a good week for the channel, particularly last night. We gained 7 subscribers overnight, which I know to a lot of the big wigs on YouTube that doesn't mean anything, but we are still technically speaking small fry. So while we are small fry, 7 new subs overnight is a development. And, I always like to say I appreciate each and everybody who likes what we do here on the Conscious Approach channel, who likes to watch our videos, who likes to participate and join the tribe. Please continue to do so as we continue to crank out new content. Let me get my ticker going here before I forget. So we have a current goal to get to 1,000 subscribers. Again, we're small fry, but it's a goal nevertheless, and we look forward to bringing in new people each and every week when we make new videos, new additions to the channel to get people on board, because we certainly appreciate everyone who appreciates us creating logical content. So thank you for supporting logical content.
That's right.
And before we get into this video, as I always like to say, please like the video, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notifications whenever new content is published to the channel. If you're watching this video on any of the other places where this channel has a presence, go ahead and share that video, hit that like button, follow the page, subscribe. We certainly appreciate you supporting logical content, man. It's been a blast. Last week was a good week. We were not stymied by the holidays, which was a refreshing sight to see. So with the pleasantries out of the way, we'll go ahead and get right into it. We are going to talk about Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless is he's not controversial. I wouldn't consider him controversial, but he is a sports commentator who has opinions of his own, and oftentimes his opinions, I guess the abrasiveness in the way that he delivers his opinions, people get bent out of shape about some of the stuff that he has to say, particularly when it comes to certain sports figures like LeBron James, for example. But Skip Bayless is currently under heavy scrutiny because he tweeted something that a lot of people felt was insensitive during Monday Night Football. So for anyone who does not follow sports or who is not aware, there was a player who played for the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills played the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football on January 2nd. And there was a player named Damar Hamlin who went into cardiac arrest during the game. Unprecedented. So it was during the kickoff. He was on the kickoff team on defense. The Cincinnati Bengals were receiving the kickoff. He collided with T. Higgins, who was a receiver for the Bengals. It looked like a pretty mundane hit to me, but apparently it was something else going on. And so Hamlin got up, and after a few seconds, he collapsed. He literally went into cardiac arrest. They had to call the paramedics out there, and they put the defibrillator on him. They tried to they went on to resuscitate him, got his vitals back up, and transported him to a hospital in the Cincinnati area. And the game ended up being suspended. They didn't resume the game. First time that's ever happened, because somebody literally almost died on the field. And so naturally, everybody gets on social media with their, opinions and thoughts and prayers to the families, blah, blah, blah. And Skip Bayless was a part of the Twitter brigade, and he tweeted something that a lot of people did not like. They felt as though he was being insensitive given what is going on. And what Skip was saying in his tweet, and I'll show the tweet once we play this video clip, but what Skip was saying was, no doubt nobody wants to continue the game, but how can they not continue with there being such high playoff implications contingent on the outcome of the game? So Skip was saying, even though people want to stop the game, how can you stop it when there's so much at stake? He was saying that it's got to resume because of what's at stake. People didn't like it. They went off on him hard, to the point that he had to show contrition this morning during Undisputed. So a lot of people had a lot to say about Skip Bayless's tweet. So we're going to go ahead and play this clip. This was a reaction from Steven Jackson, and then subsequently it'll be a clip of Skip Bayless's response to the backlash, which was aired during the Undisputed show the morning of January 3rd, which was the day after the game and the day after he sent that tweet out. So we'll go ahead and play that, and then we'll just talk about the whole situation and, Skip Bayless and the reaction to, his Twitter, to his tweet. And like I said, I'll go ahead and play the tweet as well, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it.
You know what's crazy? It was Tom Brady. I guarantee you would have chose your words wisely. Somebody that's been in journalism for over 40 years knows exactly what to say and how to say it. We ain't talking about an athlete that went into journalism. We talking about somebody that's been in journalism their whole life. He never was an athlete. Not once was he an athlete. So journalism is his thing, just like basketball is my thing. He knows what he's saying and when he's saying it. He's not getting no pass for this. But now everybody on his ass, now you want to come with a lame ass apology. And don't come on TV and say, we can't be insensitive to the situation. You wrote that tweet. Nobody else.
That no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game. This is right in the middle of the vortex of this situation when it was unclear what they were going to do with the game. But I made the point that this late in the season, that with a game of this magnitude, it's very difficult to postpone it. Yet the end of my tweet was, all of which suddenly seems so irrelevant. For the first time in the history of the NFL, my point was, it was all rendered irrelevant by what was happening on the football field in front of all those football players, those gladiators, those warriors. They were shaken to their foundations. So I immediately didn't retweet, I just clarified. And I'll state it again, nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if that was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him, and I will continue to pray for him. That's what I tweeted at the end of the night. I did pray for Damar and his family soon after it happened, and again before I went to sleep last night. And I didn't sleep much, knowing that we did have a show that we might or might not do. So now the NFL has done exactly the right thing. They have postponed. I have no idea how they're going to make this game up, and I don't care. All that matters now is that that young man who had his NFL life before him remains in critical condition in a Cincinnati hospital. All that matters. Way to go, NFL. Finally, we were all able to rise above the game of football and how important it is in many of our lives and say, no, this is all that matters.
Okay, so there you go. That was it. That was and it was contrition, but I don't know that it would qualify as apology. I think he was trying to explain what was going on, but then he was also double backing to make it known that he doesn't care about the outcome of the game, and that the most important thing is the health of the player.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then, and so for context, I do want to show his tweet real quick so that anybody who isn't aware can see. So you see here the original tweet, and to his credit, it's still up there. Usually these people will delete this kind of stuff, but the tweet is still up there, and he tweeted, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant." And as you can see at this point, this tweet has 148 million views, over 4,000 retweets. So viral is an understatement. And you see some of these replies here. You have to be the worst person to have ever held your job in the history of sports. That's an exaggeration. Let's see. One of the worst tweets in sports media history, also an exaggeration, in my opinion. This is the most inconsiderate thing you could have said. We are human beings, not just numbers. You've obviously never stepped foot in a locker room or been a part of a family like this. We are a band of brothers. Get over yourself, man. Praying hard for Damar and his family. WTF is wrong with you? A man is fighting for his life. Football doesn't effing matter right now. Time to put the phone down. Delete your account. You should be fired and ostracized for the rest of your life for this tweet. And these people are serious when they respond with this stuff. You're a sick individual, real talk. And that was our good buddy Kendrick Perkins who said that. Come on, Skip. This is life versus a game. I'm sorry, but this is your worst take ever. Again, exaggeration. So, you get the gist of it, man. People are going in. People really took advantage of an opportunity to seize upon something so that they can be a part of, righteousness, I guess, a righteous cause, to be on the right side of history, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know. But, what was your take on, I don't know whether you want to tackle it from what Skip originally tweeted or the reaction or all of it together. But do you have any thoughts on what's going on here?
My take is based on what, my initial one at least is based on Skip's initial response to, well, not response, but reaction to the injury and the critical situation bro is in. And it's, if you look back on the tweet, it's the how, it's how can they do that? This late in the season, to me, I understand he tried to clean it up at the end with the, it's irrelevant.
Right.
But at the same time, you can hear his outrage of ending the game. And, this isn't a sprained ankle. This isn't a, MCL or nothing like that. This is, the guy had a heart attack on the football field. And nobody has seen this. This is unprecedented. So something unprecedented will happen. A game gets suspended in the middle of a playoff run. So I feel like Skip's initial reaction within that tweet was shock and outrage, like, how y'all gonna clean this up? Even in the midst of his explanation on First Take, or not First Take, or Undisputed, even in the middle of his explanation, he was still saying, I don't know how they're gonna, conclude this, and I don't care. And it's like, nah, you gotta stop it. It's too late to do this level of backtracking. It wasn't in this clip, but also in his reaction this morning, he was saying that somebody from Fox, contacted him and said, hey man, your tweet is going dumb right now. You're gonna have to, clean this up, now. So he made some tweets after that, or a tweet after that, and of course this morning he had to, do more mop up duty. But I think that his initial, again, was what made everybody outraged. it seems like everybody's choosing to ignore the part where he said that it's all irrelevant now. And they're sticking to the part of where he was like, how can you postpone a game in the middle of a playoff run? And to me, it's there's two things being said there in that tweet. And I feel like his initial reaction was outrage that the game got canceled. And the cleanup, because he's a media person and knowing how it will sound, is that it's all irrelevant now. And I think that's the cap of all of this. I think people are just reading through with it. And of course, the social justice of social media is going to tear somebody limb from limb, like Skip Bayless, somebody that they don't like in the first place.
Right.
So if they had a reason to do so, which is this case, then they could go in there and with a mob mentality and rip them to shreds for a legitimate reason. So how about you, bro? You siding with Skip? You siding with the mob? Or are you somewhere in between?
I guess I'm somewhere in between. Let me address Skip first. Skip made the mistake of not having a firm enough appreciation for how much of a maelstrom a person can get enveloped in if they do something on social media at the wrong time. Like, Skip, I'm not, most people just kind of, it's either a love or hate thing with him. A lot of people either agree with everything he says or hate everything he says. And I'm somebody who watches him from time to time, and I don't oftentimes think that he is always wrong. I also don't think he's always right. He is someone who's paid to give an opinion, and sometimes opinions are accurate and sometimes they are missing the mark. I don't think that he is as bad as everyone puts him out to be. That's just my personal opinion. However, he is, much like Draymond Green is starting to become, he is somebody who takes pride in being a media contrarian. And he takes pride in being somebody who's going to have the courage of their convictions and not waver on his opinions or his takes. And he goes to bat for that. And I think people who drink all of their Kool-Aid to that degree, when you feel like your place in the media world is to be a contrarian and to be the logical information giver no matter what the situation is, when you drink your Kool-Aid that much, as Skip clearly has, because he's been doing this for like damn near 30 years at this point, you underestimate the fact that you can still slip up and do stuff that's going to get you in hot water. And so I think when Skip was tweeting that, he underestimated the fact that people were going to come for him to the degree that they did. He knows he's going to have his detractors, but I don't know that he thought that that was going to get those crazy numbers that it did, because he feels like people appreciate his place in the media world as this contrarian. And it's like, yeah, people might do that, bro, but that don't mean that you can't say something at the wrong time. And this would qualify as the wrong time, because Buddy was like dead on the field until they restarted his heart. So it's not like, this wasn't a torn ACL or a ruptured Achilles. Like, a guy was like literally dead. He had no heartbeat. And so maybe you don't tweet that at that time. But when you're such a narcissist as Skip Bayless is, and he's not the only one, because a lot of these opiners in sports media are narcissists. And when you are a narcissist to the level that he is, you can think that you could tweet something like that and you'll get your usual haters, what he calls haters, but it won't. But it will fly under the guise of Skip Bayless detractors. But otherwise, this is my role, is to be a truth teller. That's what Skip Bayless thinks he is. He believes himself to be a truth teller. So I kind of, if I'm going to psychoanalyze Skip Bayless, that's kind of the way that I would do it. He believes that he's a truth teller. I'm not necessarily excusing what he did per se, but I think that he was able to rationalize it in the way that he rationalizes the rest of what he does on the internet. And, he believes himself to be a truth teller. And so in the moment, he felt as though he was truth telling. And I think he quickly learned that there's no amount of truth telling that can combat doing that at that absolute worst time, because that's the worst time that you could have sent that out there. Now that's Skip Bayless. That's pretty much where it is for me on him. Now here's the thing with the reaction. So I'll play this game on my phone from time to time. I won't mention the name of the game, but there's this feature in the game where you traverse through a map, and on the map there are nodes, and so the nodes dictate the challenge of that particular fight, and the node will be like, this character gains double the amount of power, or this character, if you hit into their block, they will go unstoppable and they aren't affected by your attacks. Or, if you use a special attack, you'll take incinerate damage. So these nodes apply certain challenges to a particular fight, and it's up to you to be able to kind of find the right kind of counter to that node so that you can get through the fight. Now, one of the nodes in this game is called the all or nothing node. And what the all or nothing node is the defender who you're fighting against. They will not use a special attack unless you take them all the way to the limit of their abilities. So if they're on 0, 1, or 2, they're not going to use a special attack. However, if you push them over 3, they're definitely going to use it, and it's going to kill you instantly. Okay. So they call it the all or nothing node. And I feel like these social media reactions, we're living in all or nothing node. Like, there's just no in between. Again, I'm not trying to excuse Skip's tweet necessarily. I'm just trying to understand why it has to be an all or nothing node all the time. So like, and I think who Skip Bayless is has a lot to do with this, right? So if this was somebody who was less polarizing in the media, whose opinions are more agreeable, that person might have gotten backlash anyway, but I don't know that it would have been a crucifixion the way it is with Skip Bayless. But because Skip Bayless has such a history of being a polarizing figure, if he does something that is a faux pas, the level of, persecution is going to be amped up to the point where it does become a crucifixion, in my opinion. And so him being who he is has a lot to do with this, and he has no one to blame but himself for that. And I don't even think it's not like Skip's suffering. He really don't care. I mean, I know he doesn't want to have his livelihood compromised, but I think in the grand scheme of things, as long as he continues to be able to do his show with Shannon, he ain't tripping about whatever backlash he gets. He still has his job. He ain't getting fired or nothing like that. But he has nothing to blame for having to answer to the backlash in the way that he did. So again, not excusing it, but part of this reaction is because of who he is. And so it's an all or nothing situation in which it's either innocuous and there's nothing to see here, or it's complete and utter fire and brimstone, and it's the worst take that he's ever had in his whole life, and he needs to be fired, and he's the worst human being in the world, and it's F you, Skip Bayless, and all of this other, in my opinion, overreaction language. And again, I'm not necessarily trying to cast aspersions in either direction. I'm just making an observation. And that's kind of the way social media troll world works nowadays, is all or nothing. It's either mundane, innocuous, and nothing to see here, or it's everything. You need to be fired. You're the worst human being. And like, these were some of the responses to his tweet, was that he's the worst human being in the world, and that he needs to be fired, and that this is his worst take of all time. He's despicable. I mean, I didn't go through all of the responses. You can go through the tweet yourself because it's going to stay up there. Some of this stuff to me was a bit heavy-handed. And again, I don't want anybody to read into my analysis of it being heavy-handed as an excuse for Skip. But it's nevertheless my observation that it's just everything or nothing. And there's a middle ground. And I think, today in our culture where you have to be on the right side of history and we're dealing with social justice warrior America and hyper liberalism, that you have to swing for the fences and join the crucifixion party, or say nothing at all. And there's got to be some room in the middle. There has to be. And I'm not saying what side on it that you need to be, but there seems to be a lack of reason, unfortunately. And all I'm saying is, can we get back to the point where you can criticize an individual, but we can still also find the reason in what was going on. What happened to that kid on that field is tragic. I hope he pulls through. I really hope he survives. I hope he makes it back so that he can play football again. That was very frightening to watch that. But what Skip tweeted was also not the worst thing ever said or tweeted or communicated in the history of throughout the course of human history. It wasn't. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. It would be nice if we can just get to a point where it isn't all or nothing. I understand the way the world works, and I understand the way the internet is, and I understand the social justice liberal world that we are now fully entrusted in, but it's not going to stop me from saying that we can dial some of it back a little bit so that we can try and be a little more reasonable, because there are human beings throughout the history of the world that I can point to who did worse things than that tweet that Skip sent out, as this as ill-timed and in poor taste as it was. I still wouldn't go so far as to say that he is the most despicable human being in the world.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think the people that were saying that, already felt that way about him. And this tweet in this scenario just gave them, more fuel for the fire, more bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
And when didn't watch the game last night, didn't play fantasy last night, I was chilling. But this morning when I saw now I heard a guy collapsed last night, just being on YouTube. And I was hoping that it was a concussion or something like that. This morning when I saw what happened, from sports doctors that are just watching things that we're all watching but making analysis of stuff, and then they were explaining what it was, and I was like, whoa, bro went through cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And because when I first heard it, now Skip was watching the game, so I don't know what intel he got as the game was going on and while he tweeted that. But the first thing that popped in my head was a guy collapsed on the field and the game got suspended. I was like, the NFL suspended a game? And this is my initial thoughts. They suspended the game. I was like, isn't it, they're about to go to the playoffs. And so initially I was like, how is the NFL going to make this up? I said the same thing, because the NFL is a money-making machine. Now, this is before I heard cardiac arrest. As soon as I heard bro went through cardiac arrest, I was like, wait, what? Then the doctor man that was explaining the stuff gave an example of, because he's like a heart guy or brain guy, one or the other. And he was, I think he's a brain dude. And he was saying that it was a guy at the gym working out, pumping iron per usual, but he collapses in the gym. The people give him CPR or whatever, they resuscitate him. But it was like, hey, when you go through that, your brain just shuts off. They still got him to the hospital. They did as much work as they could. The dude ended up being brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm hearing all of this stuff, I'm like, whoa, man, like I've never heard of that. And so if I was watching the game and I saw a man collapse, I saw everybody hanging around the guy, I may or may not have heard that the guy, was getting resuscitated. And then the game gets canceled. And now you want to ask how? Now you want to ask how the league's going to, suspend the game? And so that's the part where I'm sure people that were watching that and seeing that, hell, man, I cringed when Tua got knocked out was that a Thursday night? He got knocked out 3 times this year. But I was like, man, this is brutal stuff. But, of course, the game must go on. It's one thing from a concussion, like you said, torn ACL or Achilles,
Yeah.
and it's another thing of getting literally resuscitated on the field. So he saw all of that, then heard the game was canceled, and then tweets how can the league
No,
do this?
no. So when he tweeted that, he tweeted it before it came down officially. So like when he tweeted it, it was early on when everybody is still trying to figure out what happened. I don't know if when he tweeted it at that point, it
The game was
became
already
clear that
suspended.
he went into cardiac arrest. But I do know that when he tweeted it in that moment, it hadn't been clear whether the game was going to continue or not. Because it was pretty early on. And so see, that's the thing about when you decide that you're going to be a part of this thing where you have to offer an analysis on social media and join in on that brigade. Like, he felt like that was his obligation to do that at that time. And so even though everybody's still trying to figure out what's going on and everybody's confused and kind of shocked at what they're seeing, him being Skip Bayless, he has to do this Twitter thing because everybody else is giving their opinion. And so he jumps on there and he's like, no way they can't, how can they not finish the game, so on and so forth, as more details are coming out in terms of what's happening. So it's like he did it in real time when he really should have just not done it in that moment, even if he felt as though he was justified in doing so, given the timing. Because of the severity of the situation, he just shouldn't have went there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Point is that I didn't see it. That the thought of the game getting suspended with me knowing no information, just a guy collapsing on the field, I'm like, well, what happened? And then once I found out what happened, I was like, oh, well, yeah, you suspend the game.
Yeah.
And, figure it out. They figured stuff out during COVID. So, but I wasn't watching the game. I didn't see the fall, the collapse, the people rallying around the guy, all this other stuff. I don't know when he tweeted it in the midst of that, but I would say there was too quick of a trigger. But still, it's still in a situation where, man, I was cringing, like I said, when Tua just hit his head on the ground.
Yeah, I actually, truth be told, I cringed more when the Tua thing happened than this one.
Because his hands
because
froze
of
up.
his hands. Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And so, but be that as it may, the whole situation, it was, to me, it was Skip being Skip. It was him putting the NFL first, his job first,
Mm-hmm.
and the life of a human being second or last. And so people are jumping on this because of that. One thing that happens with these mobs is that they take everything personal. And certain situations should be taken personally, even if it's not you. And if that was Skip's son, nephew, loved one on the field arresting, I don't give a damn about tweeting anything. What's going on here? And so the part about this where the mob gets a little too mobby, in situations like this, I get where they're coming from in the context that if this was somebody that you knew and loved, would you still want them to just roll out a football game and roll this stuff out? Like, a guy almost died. Now there was instances where people are paralyzed on the field. Get ambulance come out and everything, take the helmet, the face mask off, and all that, roll them out. That Shazier guy from Pittsburgh, and numerous other people literally getting paralyzed and stuff like that on the field, and they keep playing the game, but nobody died. And where's the line drawn at? Apparently it's cardiac arrest. And so, but yeah, I just think personally it was tasteless in a sense. I don't know the timeline. But I know one thing, I would have held off on that until I knew exactly what was going on. And I would not have done that. But Skip being Skip and gotta, like you said, this is my job. I gotta be out there. I'm a pundit. I gotta weigh in. Blah 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 blah. And even now with his explanation this morning, he was saying all of these things, all of these feel good things, and it's just like that's too little, too late. Now you want to put the young man first. The young man should have went first in your words in the tweet. This game is irrelevant. So I don't care how they figure out that, this game is whatever. Not how are you going to suspend the game with all these implications because of what's going on in the field. It's irrelevant. Say that this game is irrelevant because this man's on the field, blah, 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 blah. And who cares about playoff implications? That would have went over a lot smoother. And that's why I said it was the how can you end the suspending game. It was how he worded it. And people who know Skip read that as he's putting the league, the game, and all of this stuff ahead of this dude. So let me get on this guy. Now, worst tweet ever, all this other stuff. Yeah. But the criticism and stuff like that, yeah, man. I mean, shoot a man while he's down.
It is what it is. I agree. I think both. See, that's what I'm saying. I think both things are true. I think that, but see, that's the thing. Skip drinks too much of his Kool-Aid. And that's the thing about this damn internets. Like, y'all need to stop drinking so much of your Kool-Aid. Like, that's how you get, and not everybody is like this, but those people who just never think they're wrong with their takes, and Skip's not the only one. Yeah. There's others who do this, who are like this in the media, where they just think they're always right all the time. Like when you drink so much of your Kool-Aid and you really buy into your hype as this is my lane in media, then you think that you're impervious to, criticism of this magnitude. And that's why I think Skip did it, because subconsciously or maybe even consciously, he felt as though he was impervious to this kind of criticism because he believes that his role as Skip Bayless media pundit, opiner, opinion person is to say stuff like that. It's to bring the rationale to the discussion, even amidst scary situations like this. And hopefully he figured out that even if that is your place, there are certain times when you just need to fall on the sword and just join the brigade with everybody else who's tweeting thoughts and prayers. Like just do what everybody else is doing and just conform. Skip needs to learn that in extreme situations like that, conformity ain't the worst thing in the world. Just go ahead and conform and do what everybody else is doing, which is thoughts and prayers. I hope he's okay. Thoughts are with his family. The game ain't important, which is what 99% of everyone else was doing. I can say that, but then I can also say, okay, guys, let's relax. He's not committing genocide. He's not actually committing some of the worst acts in human history if you juxtapose his tweet to actual evil in the world. So I think both of those things are true, but I totally get the criticism, but I also get there being a need for reasonable responses to what type of criticism should be levied against someone who does something like that. But, I think both things are true at the same time, and it is what it is. Maybe Skip will fall back from this thing that he has where it's like, this is who I am and my role and courage of my convictions. Like all of that stuff is cool, but in matters of life and death, you might want to not do it even in those situations, because this is what will happen.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll just say trolls beget trolls. So Skip is a troll.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
And so he's a troll. And so the people that were saying worst comment ever, you should be fired for this and all this other stuff, they're trolls.
Yes, they are.
They're trolls. And was it classless? Yeah, it's up there. It was definitely in bad taste.
Yeah,
it was definitely in bad taste, and enough so that he had to give an apology. An apology this morning. So, but I think that this is just again chickens coming home to roost for him. He's pissed off a lot of people, and his shtick that he's been doing for over the last 30 years. People had enough of it, and they can read through his BS. And people who read it, much like myself, read what they read. At least for me, I read that how you gonna suspend games, and then the bro was second. And I know what Skip did there. He tried to clean it up there. And this morning he's trying to clean it up there, acting like he about to fall in tears and all this other stuff. It's like, bro, stop. I was like, stop the cap when you was playing. I was like, stop the cap. I don't want to hear that, man. So, Skip, do your thing, man. He's always going to be doing Skip things. He's going to keep rocking on. He's going to keep agitating Shannon. But I still wish homeboy the best, man. I don't know what the hell. Him, his family, everybody in between, man. That was hard stuff to see. I saw the replay, but that's rough stuff, man. But best to homeboy, man.
Yeah. Best to him, man. I hope he pulls through. Because he was, his heart was stopped, so he wasn't alive. Is people just drink too much. I think my biggest takeaway from this, man, is just people just need to. The internet has become an addiction for people.
Yeah,
and people need to get off that narcotic. To quote Bomani Jones, people need to get off that narcotic. Skip needs to get off that Twitter narcotic, and he ain't the only one. A lot of people need to get off that narcotic. Y'all need to detox off the drug. Like, no, you don't need to jump to Twitter to get on the right side of history every single time. Like, no one's going to burn you at the stake because you didn't give your opinion out on Twitter. No one's even really checking for you like that. You're not that important. Like, seriously.
Well, apparently he is.
in his mind, he is. And that's part of my point, about how he feels about him and the role that he plays in that whole situation. But I just hope that he's all right. I hope the guy's all right. I hope he pulls through. Because that was scary. That was some crazy stuff. And and Skip, whatever. Maybe they'll suspend you or something. You know how they like to do. They'll take you off TV for like 5 days or something. I don't know. We'll see
if they do that.
Oh boy. All right. So next up, we are going to talk about a conundrum. This is a dilemma. There's a major dilemma that women today face in the relationship world. Where is your line? What will you take in terms of the man? So I'm gonna just get right into it.
Yeah, bro, just go ahead and play the clip.
Yeah, these two women were asked, which would they prefer? The millionaire man who is a cheater or the broke man who's loyal? And that's it. That's all I'll say. So we'll go ahead and play what they had to say. And then we will offer our reaction to what they had to say on the back end of the clip.
Would you stay with a cheating millionaire boyfriend or be with a broke loyal guy? Keep it 100, man.
That's a hard one, huh?
Keep it 100.
Broken loyal or cheating?
He's giving the lifestyle. He's amazing, great connection, but from time to time he steps out and cheats.
But is it cheating?
Like an open relationship?
Yeah, is this an open relationship?
Close on your end, open on his end.
That's shit. Why can't I have one? Why he gotta be broke?
This is hard.
Come on now, come on.
Can we phone a friend?
No. Don't look at her. She can't help you.
So the connection's there.
The connection's there on both sides,
real.
but he just broke, and the other
Like, I
guy's
have to
giving
take-
you everything you want. He just from time to time won't fuck
I'll
with you
take the
from time to time.
millionaire that cheats.
I'm
whatever.
taking the cheater too.
Yeah.
Because we living good.
Yeah.
At least.
And this shows, y'all. This shows that if a man's value is high enough, he will be shared.
It's not ideal. I'm not happy
She
about
said
it.
it's not ideal.
So I mean, self-snitching is not just in rap nowadays. I'm surprised about how these types of women run to the internet to just out themselves. Like, is this not gonna go viral? And so And who are the feds in this case? Well, the feds is all the men that's watching this. And they just got indicted for that self-snitching that they just did. Now, the very sad part about this whole thing is that he never qualified broke. Now, he said cheater millionaire, but then they said broke. And each one of them has a different definition of broke. If you extrapolate this across the rest of the population of twisted women who think like this, you'll get varying dollar ranges of what's considered broke. And so the thought started going in their brains of making less than me, making the same amount as me, making slightly more than me is broke. And no, he can't step out. He can't do none of that. Why? He can't afford it. These girls here are saying that millionaire guy, I kind of don't care anyway. But I can put rules on a broke boy. Can't put rules on a millionaire. He'll just cut the money line off. I want my lifestyle still. I still don't care anyway. So, he can go do it. So long as I go to Fiji and you know, the Burmese jungle, wherever these girls trying to travel to and gallivant nowadays. So I'll leave it there. But what about you, bro? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about
you took the words right out of my mouth. You know, so yeah, self-snitching. First of all, self-snitching of this variety is a gift to real men everywhere. I'm not talking about all men, but real men. Self-snitching of this variety is a gift to real men everywhere. Because it provides you with another piece of anecdotal evidence on how to spot the wrong type of woman in most cases. And you know, you've alluded in the past on various topics when we've talked about stuff like this to the checklist that you can keep. And like when you're talking to a woman, understand what she's saying when she's speaking in code and know when to check certain things off that would constitute as red flags in terms of this might not be someone that you want to invest your time and energy into. But self-snitching of this variety is a gift to all real men everywhere. That's number one. Number two, these dudes who do these podcasts suck at their jobs. They really do. And it's pissing me off. They need to put me on these shows. They need to put us on these shows because these guys piss me off with the way that they conduct their show. Okay. They're really starting to piss me off. And you know what it is though? Because I don't want to think that they're not intelligent guys because you don't get to the point where you have that role or position where you can be in that seat and host these shows if you don't have any kind of intelligence. So I believe they're smart, which must lead me to believe that the reason why they don't do their job more effectively is because they want to play softball in the event that they might have the opportunity to smash the same women that they bring onto their show. That's the only thing that I can think of, because otherwise, why are you sucking so much at your job? You know how men are. If they see if they are in a position of advantage or power or somewhere in any kind of professional capacity, and they have the opportunity to leverage that position to try and get women, they're going to take advantage of that. Men do that. That's what we do, especially the weak ones. So the only thing that I can think of as to why these guys suck so much at doing these shows is because they are intentionally playing softball so that they cannot alienate these women because they're cute and they look good and they're attractive. So I might be able to get in there. Maybe she'll let me, maybe I can get in there and smash if I play softball enough. Because if you didn't care about that and you were effective at your job, the first thing that you would have done after asking that question is clarified what broke is. So like you took the words right out of my mouth, because when I initially saw that, I said to myself, what is broke? You know, that's where my mind went. My mind went directly to, can you ask them to clarify what broke means? Because if broke means $70,000, $75,000, $80,000 a year, well, then we have a serious, I know, but they didn't ask the question. That's my point. You have to ask the question. You have to ask, because the thing, here's why I'm saying you have to do your job and ask that question. Because if you don't ask the question and you leave it up to interpretation, you can create a situation in which women like that can seem more reasonable than they actually are. Because if you don't qualify it, then other women who think like them, as well as other men, are going to say, well, women like this are still good in my book because I make what I make, and so I'm not broke. But bro, you don't know what they think of as broke. No, so it is the responsibility of the person who is hosting that show to ask these chicks to qualify what broke means. Now, I'm in agreement with you. I think that in their minds, if you make under 6 figures a year, you're automatically broke. That's what I think but not every guy not every guy knows that. Not every guy knows that. And furthermore, there are other women who don't necessarily follow that. But if they watch enough of this and the qualification doesn't take place, then they will start to internalize this notion of you can be a millionaire and cheat. And if you're anything less than a millionaire, you don't get the levity of those same privileges. So you have to qualify this stuff. These guys, like, I don't know, man. That's just the way my mind went to it. If I had hosted that show, I would have grilled them on that. Okay, well, let's talk about what broke means. What does broke mean to you? Let's qualify what broke is, because that's an important piece of this puzzle that is being left out. Now, looking at them and seeing where they are in that kind of show, that kind of platform, that kind of podcast, yeah, these women strike me as hypergamists. Millionaire to them is man with money. Less than millionaire is, we're going to have to evaluate this. And if you make less than 6 figures, you're broke by default. That's what I think those women believe. But is it 100% clear? No, I'm speculating. You have to qualify this so that you can eliminate the opportunity for women like this to even remotely seem reasonable. And when you don't qualify it, you leave it somewhat up to interpretation. And you shouldn't leave anything up to interpretation. You got to air this out. Expose them. Yeah, they're self-snitching, but to what degree? You got to expose them. And I'm tired of these weak-ass dudes on these podcasts not doing their jobs good enough. They're not. They're not doing their jobs good enough. If that was me and I was on that show, I would have been like, let's talk about what's broke. And then after they gave their ridiculous answers, I would have fried them on why they're unreasonable in terms of how they see the world, life, and their expectations. But if you don't qualify it, they can't be held responsible for their ridiculous delusions of grandeur. So that's where I stand with it. These women, like I say all the time, are a dime a dozen. I am so desensitized to this type of rhetoric that when I hear it nowadays, it leaves me unaffected. I'm unmoved by this kind of stuff because I hear it all the time. All you have to do is go on any dating and relationship podcast where the host is a male and they bring on female guests. You'll hear this all the time. Modern women say this kind of stuff all day, every day. I'm unaffected by this. Rather, I am holding some of these podcasts more responsible for being more effective and to do your job better. That's what I say. Because that's what pissed me off about this. Bro, ask them what broke means. Ask them. Don't be a simp. Ask them what broke means. Okay? Seriously.
Oh man, you letting it fly right now.
I'm just saying, because I'm tired of this, all of this stuff, and I'll mention them because I don't give a damn. We in Miami, whatever this show is, Fresh and Fit, they do it sometimes too. Let's qualify this stuff. Kevin Samuels at least used to get into the nuance and ask the questions that need to be asked.
That's
These
fair.
other weaklings out here who are slaves to pussy, they can't help themselves but to play softball because they want to be in these women's good graces. I'm tired of this. And if this channel ever gets to the point, I'm on one right now. Just give me one more minute, okay? Like if this channel ever gets to the point where we are privileged enough to host this on a wider scale, where we can do stuff like this, you best believe I'm gonna be the guy who's playing hardball. And I don't care if you don't like it. Don't come on the show if you don't like it, because you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. And when it's over, you're gonna respect me more for it than the guys who play softball. Go ahead.
Listen. I hear all of that. But look, bro, we're behind the double. When these guys do this, we're behind the double window or mirror or whatever. Like when the feds is doing their interrogation, all right, we're on the back end behind the glass viewing these guys doing this. Now you got good cop and you got bad cop. Good cop, he brings the donuts, the McDonald's, gets them to open up a little bit. Hey, let's talk. Come on, it's all fair, it's all love. When they feel, and especially with moderns, and when you're dealing with them and you're on their trail, they have keen sense of awareness. So hey, whoa, you're getting too close to my thought box. You too hot on my trail. Now there's some of them that's just gonna flat out, hey, I'm a whore and I love it. But the majority of them, still feel some levels of shame. And so if you come at them a little too aggressively, they might, scurry away and not give as many open and honest. I appreciate these young ladies for being honest. And I think the only reason why they were honest is because there was some candy involved. It wasn't a bitter truth about to come hit them across the head.
It doesn't have to be aggressive. You can be tact about the way that you do it, but you should be more. That's how I see it. That's just
fair.
my opinion. That's my opinion. Be more effective with how you hold. What do these women have to lose by being asked a follow-up question? They have nothing to lose. It's not like it's not as though answering the question of what qualifies as broke is going to compromise their ability to get what they want on the dating market. It's not. They can answer the question as truthfully as they want. When they leave that show, they're still going to get the same attention from men that they've been getting. They're not losing anything. And so I'm not saying they should be cognizant of that. I'm saying these dudes who host these shows should think about this from time to time and understand the pros and cons. They have nothing to lose, bro. Okay? If they answered, yeah, you got to make $500,000 a year, that's what, if you make, let's say, for example, and I know I cut you off, and I'm really done with this. This is the last thing I'm going to say.
Go, man.
Let's say, for example, he did qualify that. Okay, well, let's say he asked the girl on the left, okay, well, what is broke to you? And let's say her response was, I don't know, if you make under 300,000, I kind of feel like you're on the broke side. And, he was like, oh, okay. Now, first of all, it's out there, so everybody sees what she qualifies as broke. But let's say that the camera stopped rolling and the girl wanted to hang out with them and go out and have fun on their tab that night. And he felt like if he did it, he might be able to smash. Who the hell cares that that's what her answer was? Who cares? So him being in that situation and her being in that situation to give the answer, neither one of them have anything to lose in that scenario. So when there's less to lose, there's less incentive to not go the extra mile to at least provide a little more context to the conversation. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. And I'll say this. So I appreciated, and this is why I appreciated the open-endedness of that question, because it allowed them to spin wheels in their brain of what they consider broke. And it's the regular guy. It's just a regular guy. And the regular, average, everyday man is broke to them. So each one of them have a different dollar amount. Whether they said 300,000 is or less is broke, or if they said 70, 40, or 50K is broke. Either way, it ain't a million. So the reason why I appreciated the open-endedness of this is because there's a mythology with these modern women. There's a common theme going on with all of this stuff. And if they have modern woman syndrome, as these young ladies have, then what these guys were able to extract from this, because if they gave dollar amounts, it would have been specific to these women. But as I mentioned in my opening statement, that each woman has a varying level of what she considers broke. Even though these two are friends, they're going to have two different dollar amounts. So I don't need a dollar amount. That would have helped these young ladies. We would have figured out their thing. But the mythology and the open-endedness of it is your definition of broke, ma'am. And he's a broke or he's a millionaire. In either case, the key part of this is that if you got the bag, they'll deal with you being unfaithful. And so Millionaire was qualified, but the key to this mythology is if you're pulling in enough to support a lifestyle, then you can do whatever you want, because I want to live a lifestyle anyway. And when you're dealing with moderns, you're also dealing with manipulators, cheaters themselves. So even though the guy qualified it and said, nah, he can do his thing and you can't, which one would you still deal with? In the back of their mind still, I'm still feeling like they'll say, well, I could still slip out and do my own thing, kind of thing. The point overall is that the mythology of modern woman syndrome is that, hey, bro, how much you make? Great. How much does your girl make? Oh, okay. Around the same amount. Oh, she make more than you? Let's stick with the same amount. If y'all make around the same amount of money and she's modern, she's looking to replace you. Unless you're on some wild ass trajectory where she can see the end of the tunnel and can do the math and add it up, no, I'll stick around for this. If you're not on that trajectory and you're making the same kind of money as she's making, a little bit more than she's making, that's not enough to support my mimosas in the jungle of the Burmese. So I can't deal with you, bro. So I've got modern woman syndrome. I'm infected. This won't work. She's going to either self-sabotage the situation, so you broke it off, or she's going to break it off because she's bored. Either way, I still feel as though that these young ladies here said a mouthful when they said, nah, broke guys follow my rules. I follow rich dudes' rules. And that's the whole mythology right there. And so, and this is why I said a couple pods ago, where you have to be dominant, period, if you're a man. You have to be physically dominant, sexually dominant, financially dominant, intellectually dominant. They want to follow your lead. And so they don't respect the man that they feel as though they're more dominant in one or varying categories. They're going to lie, this is so unattractive. They want to forever feel like the cool person. I remember, and I'll say this, when I was a kid and my brothers was picking me up from daycare school, You know, my mom always picked me up from school, you know, but the days my brother picked me up, I felt cool. I felt extra cool. They had cool cars and well, cooler than my mom. Sorry, mom. And I'm sitting here in my brother's car. Hey, don't eat while you in here. All this stuff. He's playing music loud, and I'm like, this is so cool. You know, he's my older brother. I look up to the guy, and I'm having a great time. Women want to forever feel like they're in a car with a man that's cooler than them. He makes more money than them. He's taller than them. They want to stay in a level of admiration. And if you're making 5% more money than her, there's nothing to admire about that. If you're making less than her, bro, hang it up. If she's modern. So I appreciated the open-endedness of this. I didn't need a specific dollar amount. I appreciated the fact that it was no dollar amount, because if he qualified it, they could have played lowball and got up under something. Or yeah, well, let's say broke is, you know, blah, 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 thousand. And they were like, So the real question here, and I hear what you're saying, but the real question here is, and we're hearing it, we're hearing $1 million, so 7 figures. What's the price? How much do you cost? Modern women are for sale. So I'll put up with anything you do so long as you make enough money. Now, a woman with more traditional values, standards, and things of that nature, and she believes in monogamy like these women claim they do, then it doesn't matter how much the man's making if he's disrespecting her, according to her rules. So these women don't have rules. They're anarchists. They'll do whatever, wherever the wind's blowing. And if the guy's making enough, they can be bought. And so modern women can be bought. And those things have a word. All right. Just because you don't have an OnlyFans page or you're not walking the strip, you are indeed in that profession if you are willing to compromise moral integrity for a paycheck. So, and not even a paycheck, just a lifestyle change better than yours. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, man, I appreciate the mythology. I appreciate the self-snitching. Of course, the Godfather would have tore into these young ladies. But these guys don't have that kind of pull. They're broke. So they gotta play relatively compared to Millionaire Man. So they gotta play this game. And I'm not justifying all the way. You don't have to be making cash to talk to women a specific way. But who knows the scenario of this situation? I just really think that these young ladies were so giggly and so whatever. And I definitely would have played them up a little bit, but I would have eventually got to the point of dollar amounts. But this little snippet here, yeah, I'll take it, because I'll add that to my archives of modern women thinking. So shout out to my traditional ladies out there that are still holding it down traditionally. All right. So this is not applying to you. It's applying to these I don't want to use any foul language. Let's just stick with the moderns, with the modern women of the evening. How about that? So
yeah, I think and this is a theory of mine, but I do think that women like this, there's a range of what they all think of as broke. I know that I know that the dollar amount specifically would differ, but generally speaking, I think that if you took 20, 30, 40 modern women and you asked them that question, there's going to be a general distribution of what that range is. And so I don't think there's any harm in asking for that qualification. I know you weren't suggesting that they shouldn't ask it. You were saying that you appreciated it being open-ended, but I don't like that. I feel like you should ask them to qualify it, because it gives you insight on what it is that you're talking. It gives you insight on what you're working with, because they might have different specific numbers. But I think most modern women are going to be operating within the same range. They're all going to say the same, whatever that range is. So I don't know if it's from this to this or from this to this, whatever the range is, their number from what I've seen is going to be within that range. And so I would have preferred some qualification, because otherwise this just looked like I said, they were playing softball with them. They were playing softball with them because they looked good. I guarantee you that if those women were less physically attractive, those guys might have been more inclined to qualify what broke means. Pretty girls get away with a lot because of how they look.
That's fair.
And I think that is unfortunate. And furthermore, like I said, these women are cold-blooded. They don't give a damn. They will tell you what you want to know if you ask them, because they stand to lose nothing by being truthful. They are not going to be able to not get the attention of quote-unquote high-value men who have a propensity for being unfaithful, just by answering those questions honestly. Them same dudes are still going to holler at them and still going to be in their DMs and still going to try to get at them, even if they snitched on themselves on a podcast. They stand nothing to lose. So what's the incentive of telling the truth?
All right. So this, I'll say this. When we decide to do this, okay, I'm playing a good cop. All right.
Fine.
So just let me handle a good cop question.
Go ahead.
I'll bring the McDonald's. No tricking, of course, figuratively speaking, right? I'll bring the McDonald's, all right, and the donuts, and I'll try to open them up, and then then you could come in, because when you use the words grill, I was like, damn, bro, you can saute them. I'm thinking
I'm gonna be nice about it. I'm tact. I'm gonna be nice about it. The reason why I got aggressive on this video is because I was really talking to dudes who was doing the hosting. I wasn't talking to the women.
No,
I was talking to dude. I was talking to dude. I wasn't really talking to them. I expect them to do this and say this. That's my anticipation. I expect that. I know that it's less than a millionaire means you're broke. I know that. But you got to ask the question. That's just me. Whatever.
That's fair.
I'm done. I'm over this. I'm over this, man. I'm done with this stuff.
That was a good one.
Give us our podcast. If you watching this video and you are a media outlet and you are looking for thought-provoking, passionate content creators, look no further. Hit us up. Give us our show. We won't disappoint. And I'm done.
Hit that like and subscribe while you're at it.
Subscribe to the channel too. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, that was a good one.
Okay, so next up is Cardi B. Cardi B has something to say about why you should fight another woman when she steals your man. Again, I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. I'm not even going to offer up any context, or I'm not going to get into any kind of setup for what she said. I'm just going to play what she said. But basically, this is Cardi B explaining in Cardi B's mind why you got to fight for your man when a woman comes along and steals him from you. Fight that girl for your man, because anything less is unacceptable.
Don't mind me. I'm drunk. No, I don't give a fuck. How about that? Because I'll say even if I'm drunk or not. All right. So I've been seeing a lot of tweets that be going viral talking about when Cardi says this. Hold up. These tweets talk about when Cardi say she fighting over dick too. I don't feel her on that. But this is my thing, right? This is my thing. If a bitch go through your purse, right? If a bitch go through your purse and she steals some of your money, you're not gonna fight that bitch? Yeah, bitch, you gonna fight for your money, right? So if a nigga's providing for you, giving you money, paying your bills, doing all that shit, and a bitch go take him from you, you're not gonna fight over that dick because that's your money. Because that nigga's your money. You're not gonna fight for that, bitch, because I'm fighting with teeth. I'm biting you, bitch, over my nigga. Yes, I am. fighting you over that date. Now, if it's a broke nigga, bitch, I can help you. You deserve charges on you, bitch. You deserve a whole restraining order.
That's hysterical. Well, coming from one of the foremothers, right? One of the pioneers of this. Now, modern woman syndrome has been going on before my age group became of age. But when it comes to the articulation of it and the promotion of such a lifestyle, you're looking at one of the top bosses. You know, it's like you elevate, you defeated this modern woman, you defeated that modern woman, then you get to the final stage. All right. then you see Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion hanging out up there. All right. Nikki was, she used to be the old boss, but that was on version 1 of the game. So Cardi B with her clout in the game, she's giving gospel to these modern women who are after the bag. Why are you after the bag, but so sloppy about it? If you're really about your bag, are you not going to fight about it? Let's make some sense of this. And she's absolutely right. Their whole agenda, modern women, their whole agenda is to get to the bag. That's the objective. So when they're out here behaving like NPCs, just going around, you know, just trying to level up with every dude that they deal with until they eventually level up to a millionaire, baller man, 6-figure man, right? And they just go through life navigating, trying to get to the top. Once you finally get to the top and you bag your rich dude who's providing for you, taking you on trips and doing all this jazz, you're going to let some scoundrel woman who's doing the same game as you to come in and try to snatch him from you and then end all that hard work that you done did, all those penises you was hopping off of, all of this, all these useless dates, all of this stuff to get all the way to the top, and you're going to lose it because you got morals, integrity, and you ain't going to fight over him? Girl, you out of your mind if you're modern. So I agree with Miss Cardi B here because, well, those ladies in the last video, they articulated very well that, hey, I want the lifestyle of the millionaire. So I'll stay with him, even though he's doing whatever, because I would rather be rich and cheated on than broke with loyalty and love. So these women who are headed to the top of the thought pyramid, yeah, you're damn right they're gonna be scrapping over that wallet because they only view those men as walking wallets anyway, you know, walking ATMs. So yeah, that was a good analogy she used. Hey man, if somebody digs in your purse and takes your money, are you not gonna whoop that bitch out? Yeah. So how about you, bruh? Do you agree with Miss Cardi B? You know, one of the queen bees out there, or do you think, you know, she's a little full of herself on this one?
Yeah, Nicki Minaj is Vega, Megan Thee Stallion is Sagat, and Cardi B is M. Bison. That's like, you know, that's anybody who knows Street Fighter. That's a video. That's an old video game reference to Street Fighter. Those were always the last 3 fights. Bison was always the final boss. That's Cardi B. And Megan Thee Stallion is Sagat, and then Nicki Minaj is Vega. Because you know, Nicki Minaj is kind of an OG at this point. I do think she was the progenitor.
Yeah,
I think that, sure. You know, like these Cardi B types, Cardi B, you know, Meg, Saweetie, Glorilla, some of these other ones, I can't think of them all. The one that we talked about where she said that she wanted to get a feature on her album, but the dude was trying to smash. I
Oh,
can't think of
yeah.
her name off the top of my head, but she's another one. They're all
Mhm.
characters in these video games, but yeah, those are the final 3 fights.
That's fair.
You know, the last girls in the video we just talked about, yeah, they're cut from the same mold. So when they have their millionaire guy, this gives them permission to fight the women that those guys are going to cheat on them with. So this was actually very informational, and I hope that they saw this because this can be very helpful for them. I recommend that they, take up boxing or kickboxing lessons or judo, or maybe do some MMA training or something, because I think that if you're prepared to fight, for your millionaire, you should be equipped with actual fighting skills, because I feel like that would make you even better when it gets down to the nitty gritty and it's time for you to actually do the fighting, when it's time for you to actually throw hands. You will have a decided advantage on the women that you're going to have to fight for your millionaire man if you actually take on, combat sports training. So I think it would behoove these women, the women we just talked about, and any of the other modern women in the world. You guys, it's probably a good idea to take up combat sports training. I recommend boxing. I think any woman who knows how to throw hands and box, you have a pretty good leg up when it comes down to fighting these other women for, trying to take your men away. So this was very constructive, and I do appreciate Cardi B for this because it opens up a wealth of other things to consider when it comes to navigating this modern dating landscape. Men have always done things like take up boxing lessons, kickboxing, martial arts, taekwondo. Women do it too, but to a lesser degree. But I think now the time is more paramount than ever for women to, throw on the mitts, get them gloves on, get that headgear on, you wrap up your toes with the tape, start hitting that bag, get you a trainer. Don't smash the trainer, though, unless he's a millionaire trainer, then, of course, because that's on brand at that point, yeah. But don't smash the trainer. Now, mind you, the trainer's going to try to smash. He's going to try to smash because trainers can't help. Trainers are weaklings just like the rest of these dudes running around out here. So the trainers are going to try to smash. If you let the broke trainer smash, you'll be lessening your value out here, because the trainer needs to be someone who's up there in the 7-figure range in order to justify your decision to let him hit. So go and get you a trainer. Make sure you don't hit unless he's making $1 million, and get your combat sports training so that you can be as prepared as possible to fight these bitches who are trying to take your millionaire men. You owe it to yourself to do this. You owe it to yourself to do this. It's your responsibility to do this. And good luck. I'm a proponent of combat sports training. Boxing was always my second or third favorite sport, depending on the era. And I do dabble in MMA from time to time. And the one thing that you don't want, ladies, the one thing that you don't want is you don't want your millionaire man to cheat on you with a woman who does know how to fight. That's what you don't want. That's your worst nightmare, because now you're looking at an ass whooping and getting money taken out of your purse. And I know that you'd rather only one of those things happen than the other. So I recommend that you at least know that the playing field is leveled from a performance standpoint, not just performance in the bedroom. Even that's job number 1. We know this. But job number 2 should be self-defense of a professional variety. Know how to throw those hands. Be ready to, you got to know how to hit them with a jab and a hook, a good uppercut, good foot movement. All of these things are important when you're out here fighting these other women off for your millionaire men. So, that's pretty much all I got to say. Be prepared. Be prepared. Like Scar said on The Lion King, truer words have never been spoken. You got to be prepared. I recommend boxing training. Listen to Cardi B. Cardi B, I doubt that she knows how to box, but she probably is surrounded by security 24/7 who does, or at the very least they pack in, so they don't necessarily need to know how to fight. They can fight off the other bitches for her. But for some of you other lesser known, lesser famous, modern, hypergamous out here who are looking to get your 7-figure guy, hit those gyms. Equinox is a good gym. They do combat sports training. Congratulations, Equinox. I hope you appreciate it. You're welcome. I just gave you some free plug. Hit up Equinox. It's a little expensive. It's a little pricey, but get your Millionaire Man to pay for the membership. You don't need to pay for it. Just get in Equinox, do combat sports training, learn how to throw them hands, and you will be adequately prepared to fight off the dusty bitches trying to get in your purse and steal your Millionaire Men.
Yeah, hey, well said, bro. They have to know how to do combat, A, and B. You got to figure out, because you already know that the millionaire guy or whatever, the baller guy, that he's clearly got options, right? So if he's doing his thing, but if there's some woman that's actually really competing with you, then at that point you got to figure out where you're losing at. And why is this girl over here winning? All right. It might be because she's a tad bit more feminine, a little easier on his pockets. You don't make a lot of money not knowing money. And you understand when you have a hole in your bank account. Now, if the man's going to sit there and do his thing already, but if you're losing some of his attention, that I would argue that, of course, if it came to fisticuffs, go ahead and knock her out. Or like what Cardi B got with those nails, claw her out. But there's still a thing where, well, why are you losing? Is it because, you're lacking some feminine traits? Is the house not a home? What are you doing for him to give so much attention to this other woman? All right. Because, hey, combat sports may not necessarily get the job done. Because if you do go out there and decide to whoop her up, you just displayed how masculine you were in the first place again. Why don't you try winning in a more covert way? Be his peace at the house instead of always aggravating him and nagging him. Let's try that, moderns. But at the end of the day, I still agree with Cardi B's message to the rest of her followers. This is a lifestyle. They chose it. They're in this lane. And these moderns are just polygamist. And the last girls just proved that. They're just polygamists. And the guys who are making this money, most of them are polygamists. So they belong and deserve each other. Why fight, ladies? Y'all are all sister wives. So have at it, queens. Keep slaying it. Keep being your boss babes and everything else in between. And take heed from your queen bee, your emperor, who's spitting more knowledge and facts. She rose to prominence for a good reason, because she was preaching that gospel. And this is just more bars and more facts for her moderns to ingest and play a part of. So yeah, fellas, you're just viewed as wallets to these women. So walk-in ATMs. If they get around you and they like your lifestyle, they're just going to absorb it. They're just going to absorb it and want a better version of it later. So take heed to that. Keep them at bay. Use them for the entertainment that they're only good for. And stay on the straight and narrow, fellas. And pick yourselves a traditional. They're still out there, ladies, and I'm advocating for you traditional women. All right. There's all kinds of slanderous terms that these moderns use towards them, but I will never use them here on this program. So you traditional ladies, keep doing your thing, keep crushing it. Cardi B, y'all are already over there with the polygamists. All right. So I have nothing to say to those people. Just keep doing your thing. So yeah, man. Wild stuff nowadays on this internet, man.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, man, I believe I'm an advocate for people being prepared. So be prepared. Know how to throw them hands. I'm 100% behind Cardi B. Go get them. Because, you guys are all living in you guys are all a part of a man's harem anyway. You're all in the harem. And so if there's another wife, if there's another one of the women who are in the harem who is trying to become the man's number one spot,
Right.
or number two position, and you're number three, or you're number one, and you see your spot being supplanted, you need to know how to keep them at bay. Keep them out of your wallet. As Cardi B said, keep them out of your wallet. Keep them out of your purse, rather. Keep them out of your purse. Don't let them take money out your purse.
Literally.
Don't let them do it. So, yeah, be prepared. Get that combat sports training. That's what I got to say. No, unless you got security, be as prepared as possible. Be able to ward them off. Because no woman wants that. They see you know what you're doing and you know how to throw them hands. They're going to accept being number 2 or 3 or 4, and you can be number 1. Or if you're number 2 and you got women who are trying to elevate from that, those women will expect being number 3, 4, 5, and so on, so that you can all live in peace and harmony in the harem. Because that's what we all want in the world, right? It's peace and harmony in the harem. So go forth and conquer. I think this was constructive advice on Cardi B's part. And I support this message.
Well said. Well said.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and close out on this week's stream, man. This was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody who tuned in on the stream. If you watch this as a part of the stream, man, go ahead and hit that like button. Exposure of the stream is climbing up every week, man, and we love it. We certainly appreciate everybody who is watching our videos, who is tuning into our channel, man, because people are starting to see what we're doing and they like our content, and we appreciate everybody for joining in. Appreciate everybody who watches these as individual videos as well, who leave comments. Like I always say, I pay attention to comments and I respond as long as it is not a troll comment. I usually respond in that regard. So, we like doing logical content. We love supporting, we like creating logical content. We love putting these videos out on the Constant Approach channel. We're going to continue to elevate and evolve. And so in the meantime, we appreciate everybody for joining us for the ride. In any event, whether you're watching this as a part of the stream or whether you're watching this as an individual video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you can know whenever new content is published to the channel. Check out the website, constantapproach.com. Check out the page on Meta as well. Like, follow, comment, and share as well over there if that's where you're seeing this. You can follow this Constant Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can also follow me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Look out for Constant Approach on Spotify and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. We'll be uploading the RSS feed as soon as we have enough bankable episodes in order to do that and provide value. We're going to go ahead and move it on to streaming platforms as well, so that it's not just YouTube where you can catch us. But in any event, man, we appreciate you supporting logical content as always. My name is JV Wins, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Skr. And the name is Dogon SS. You can catch me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. All right. And you can still find me on DraftKings. Come holler at me, man. Come get slaughtered. All right. And as I say on every part, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, keep it even kill, man. Don't let anybody get you off your pivot. All right. Especially these women who consider you broke because you out here doing your thing. Because they'll try to gas you up to try to get you too high. They'll try to tear you down by saying you're broke, but you're not getting too low. You're keeping it calm and you're keeping it chill, man. Go find yourselves a traditional, fellas. You traditional ladies, keep holding it down. We see you out there. All right. So until the next part, guys, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yep. And on that note, man, another blast, another good video. We'll see you next time. We out. Peace.
Skr.